So thank you for taking a minute or two to connect again through the chat on a favorite break. As Jenna Lee said, we are very glad that you guys are here today. We have some people who have attended our past sessions and some new ones. So it's great to have you all here tonight. And we'll do quick introductions. So I am Jen Scott, one of our instructional facilitators. I have been inspired since August when I first attended some professional learning with the authors of the Playbook, and since then have just continued to read and have conversations and continue to feel inspired. So I am very appreciative of you for being here for our next session.
And so I'm Jenna Lee Hers, and I'm an instructional facilitator too. And like Jen said, just super excited to be here and to be sharing what we're learning with the distance learning playbook. I was just saying how today, looking forward to these sessions with you guys really helps ground me in some work and helps bring purpose to my job. And with that ultimate goal of, you know, how can we extend our learning to you guys and to teachers and help support teachers, you know, do the best that you guys are doing to reach students. And it just is really exciting. And you guys are working so hard, and we just appreciate the fact that you're giving up this time and dedicating this time to be here tonight. So thank you. And with that, Megan.
I was kind of surprised today when I asked Siri how many days ago March 13th was, and today is 300, the big 300. So, but I'm excited for today because I think it's really, we don't have a lot of experiences, I mean, in the normal setting to reach out across content and grades and buildings. So even though we're on day 300 of all of this, I'm really excited about some of the new opportunities that I hope continue on when we are back to that normal, whatever that means. But so yeah, I'm really excited just to connect today.
And hopefully we stop sharing screens. So hopefully you can just take a quick peek through who all is here tonight. When we get into breakout rooms, you'll have a chance to introduce yourself as well. But again, yes, thank you for being here tonight. That moves us into a welcome. You're here for the Distance Learning Playbook, which our focus tonight is on Module 7. If this is your first time joining a professional learning with the book, it's okay if you haven't hit the other modules yet. So how it's intended is that there's sort of some interweaving in the modules. Module 5 really focuses on teacher clarity, and we'll hit some of that in our connecting to the new learning. So again, there's sort of a thread that weaves itself through the modules, but just know that if this is your first one, you're in a great place, and we'll continue to build on learning and make connections. So the authors, Doug Fisher, Nancy Frey, John Hattie, and again, Jenna Lee and myself have attended quite a few sessions. I'd like to say that Doug Fisher is my friend, and I follow his tweets, and he's always putting out great information. So again, welcome. And I'm going to follow this. Just a couple things for tonight, the virtual engagement. So I know we're all familiar with Zoom, and so that's our command center and how we'll interact in our virtual community. Our goal is that we stay muted. We also would love to see your faces, so we're inviting you to leave your video on, but we also know that you're in situations or spaces that you may not be able to. And then please use the chat. So if you have questions, or maybe there's a resource that you know connects to something we're talking about, feel free to use the chat to share that. We will also put links and breakout room directions into the chat. So that's going to be a good hub center for our work as we go through tonight. And we're going to start with a waterfall chat. So if you have not done a waterfall chat, we're going to ask you to reflect on the question on a prompt, but to not show us your answer until you hear the word waterfall. So you'll go up, you'll start to type it, or you'll type it, but you won't press enter. So we're going to use the chat again. Using that wheel, what 2 words best describe how you're arriving to the session tonight? I'll give you a minute to look. Don't show us your answer yet if you haven't until you hear me say the word waterfall. Waterfall. You can see those obviously coming in through the chat. What we feel is very important is to give you a minute to scroll back up to where I typed the word start and just look through those responses and try to find one that resonates with you or that you can connect with. And then you'll just put that back into the chat and tell why. So for example, I have found one that I connect with. I'm going to type that into the chat and tell why. So thank you for taking that time to share your feelings, but also to make a connection to someone else. And it's nice to always feel comforted too when knowing that other people are feeling the same way as you. So Jenna Lee or Megan, anything you want to add to that, our check-in?
Yeah, just noticing a lot of worry. I saw a lot of people, the worry stood out to me, and, you know, I think that's on everybody's hearts and minds right now.
And just, oh, go ahead, Megan.
Oh, just like, I think a lot of people feel restful coming in, and then, but there's changes that are coming too. And so I'm glad we're coming together to work towards those. And that the things that we've been learning through all these modules will work no matter what scenario we're in.
Yes. Yes, which led us to that big learning target that hits, I can design instruction for engagement and impact in any setting, which is on slide 2. That's an important piece that I probably didn't get a chance to say, was that we know that we're in a transition period and moving from one setting to another. And so just knowing that this playbook is really important, because when you look through it, or if you've read it, you know that there is not a lot of new. But what's important is that we can take this opportunity to refine what we're doing, either in our setting of distance learning, but also what we're hopeful is that we can refine and even be more intentional about what we do in our in-person setting in the classroom. So that's why for us, we know it's called the Distance Learning Playbook, but again, we have chosen a success criteria of I can design an instruction for engagement and impact in any setting. So a big piece that we hope you take away from this is that it's any setting is a critical piece. Thanks, Jenna Lee, for flipping back to that. Our learning community agreements. We hope that you bring a learner's mindset with you. We make connections to your unique context. Extend care to yourself and others. So we know this time of night that things are happening. So just know that if you need to step away or take care of something that's important to you, please take that moment to do that. And then also to customize your learning experience. So again, we use the chat, and we have breakout rooms. And so hopefully you can find a piece where you can customize that learning for yourself as well. So that's going to take it into Jenna Lee.
All right, so we're going to dive into module 7, which is all about our planning for distance. And we're keeping in mind for how do we design for impact and engagement. And like Jen said, this builds on the other modules. So, you know, in looking at my screen, I see a lot of familiar faces, people that have participated in Mod 5, which was on teacher clarity, and then Mod 6, which was engaging tasks. So this one will continue to build on those things. And like Jen said earlier, that if you're just jumping in, that's perfectly fine. What's great about the playbook is it's designed that way to where these things do connect and build, but it is also a resource where you can flip through and look at the index or look through the table of contents and you're like, yes, I need more information on this particular thing. You can turn to that in the book and it kind of be a go-to guide that way as well. So for today, our learning intentions, I'm going to just give you a minute there and read that slide and our learning intentions. So again, today is all about how do we design, and then we're also going to jump into an instructional framework that we're going to use to help guide our planning moving forward. And I think one of the things that's really important for our team, Jen, myself, and Megan, is just like we've been engaging in the book, we've also been trying to model these same strategies along the way. So this whole, these slides with learning intentions, you'll see and continue to see throughout, and that was building on what we learned in Module 5 about teacher clarity. John Hattie says that our learning intentions are only as good as the success criteria that we have connected to them. So this next slide is the success criteria for which how we would hope that we would measure whether or not we've learned what we've wanted to learn. And so I'm going to give you a minute and read those success criteria there. And I'm just going to ask that you pick one that is either one you want to focus your learning on or one that excites you. All right, and I'm just curious to get a poll from the group where people are at. Which of those success criteria is one that you're holding on to? If you would just put a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat to correspond with the first, second, and third. I'm just curious to see where our audience is today. Nice. So just like you would expect in a classroom, you see the different people that are connecting with each of those success criteria maybe a little differently. I see a lot of 2s, but I definitely see some 3s and 1s as well. So we'll check back in with that criteria later and see how we've done in meeting those success criteria. So this next part, I just want to make sure that everybody is able to access the session outline for today. This is in our Google Classroom, and it is something that I think will be beneficial for you to have open and so that you can toggle back and forth in your screen. This also is going to have kind of the step-by-step directions for when we go into breakout rooms as well. So at this point, if anybody is having problems accessing that, if you could just give us a heads up in the chat. And so again, that's in the Google Classroom. And also in this session outline, you will also find the link for today's slideshow presentation. And then you'll also in there find the link if you don't have the distance learning playbook. You will also find where Jen has scanned in the chapter reading if you would like to access the scanned version. Jen and Megan, anything else you want to add about our session outline today?
I would just like to add that Megan does an amazing job of helping us keep this organized with all the links embedded. So I always want to tell Megan thank you. And then and I also, when Jenna Lee showed the slide for Module 7, I just have to tell you, I want to put my exclamation reaction or my excitement reaction because I'm really excited about this module. And I'm excited because when I looked through your emotions for how, how you're coming in tonight, my hope is that those that feel overwhelmed and maybe overwhelmed thinking of the transition about your settings, that you really can take the information in this module to help you moving forward. And I know that I'm not in your shoes right now in terms of a class of students, but I just want you to know that if I was in your shoes, I would feel a sense of calmness from the material in this module, not because it's new, but it would give me a deeper clarity for what I'm teaching. So I'm just really excited about this module.
Good. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. And again, just chat. You feel free to chat Jen, myself, or Megan if you're having problems accessing that, that session outline. So with that, we're going to move into our first breakout. So what we're going to do is Megan's going to go ahead and just push everybody into a breakout room. And what we ask is that you take just a minute and pick one of these. So you personally are going to pick one of the 4 questions that you would like to reflect on and then speak to in the group. And Megan's going to put us all into random breakout rooms. And then each person is going to then introduce themselves, so who are you? Where do you teach? What do you teach? And then say which question you would like to talk to. So the 4 people in your group or 5 people in your group, however many there are, you guys don't need to decide as a group which one you're going to talk to. Each person individually is going to decide which question they want to talk to. Thumbs up if that makes sense.
And we also have these directions in the outline for breakout room number 1.
Okay, any questions before we go to breakout rooms? I think we're going to take about 7 minutes on this first breakout room. Okay, so welcome back. Hope you guys had some really good conversations there in your breakout. So using the chat really quick, what's a word or a sentence that you could put in the chat that kind of resonated or stood out to you as you had your conversations with your colleagues in this first breakout room? Noticing a theme there, the collaboration, FaceTime, getting kids to talk and discuss ideas, the Zoom participation. Okay. Well, those are things hopefully that we can hold tight with us today as we think through how we design, and maybe we can come up with some ideas for some of those themes that we're seeing. All right, let's jump into today and our instructional framework.
Right. So just a couple pieces. You know that this module has 3 sessions. 2 of those we're together. And so in this first session 1, we're going to have you engaging in the text and discussing, collaborating, reading. And then in session 3, we'll be moving more into discussion around some of the tools, the strategies, some of the examples tied to the instructional framework. So we have this visual, not we, but it's in from the book, the visual of a pinwheel. And it's the instructional framework, and we're going to talk about today, but it's applied to distance learning. However, we know that this framework is instructional framework, so applied in any setting. There are 5 bullets at the bottom tied to some terms. And when you look at your outline, you will see a small blank pinwheel that is at the top half of the outline. And using those 5 terms, where would you put those on the pinwheel? Make a prediction of and capture that prediction on the blank pinwheel. And then at the end, we'll have a chance to check your predictions. So go ahead, I'll give you a minute to do that on your outline.
Can you repeat the directions one more time?
Yep. You're going to use on your outline, there's a blank pinwheel on the top half of the outline. And using those terms that are in black on the bullets, where would you put those on your pinwheel? So go ahead and just write those in on your blank pinwheel.
So if you want to type this in, you might need to create a text box and then move your text box around on there. If you find, don't spend too much time trying to, if you need to, just maybe sketch a picture on a sticky note or something.
Generally, thank you. That was, yes, a little error in planning right there.
No, that's okay.
Or create that in your image in your head
mind.
and think about where would you put those terms into the pinwheel.
So where would they might be as spokes? What might be the center? Is something this, the stick that you're holding on to? How might you label that pinwheel?
All right, for this next part, we are going to have you into the text to do some reading, some discussion, and then to create a slide. And so we have a slide that has the page numbers for each of these aspects of the instructional framework. And in this first breakout room for this part of the presentation tonight, you are going to become an expert in one of those aspects of the pinwheel. So we're going to be using Jigsaw, which is part of collaborating. And when done well, it says that the effect size is 1.20. So powerful when it's done well. So expert groups, you're going to read your part of the pinwheel and you're going to consider some questions as you read. So I'll let you read those 3 bullets. These are also on your outline for tonight. And you'll have about 20, we'll start with 20 minutes and we'll do a check-in. 20 minutes in your expert group to, in that time, you'll want to read, to respond and collaborate to create your slide. So in the slide deck, we have 2 slides per aspect. You'll just choose one of those that corresponds to your aspect for your expert group to complete your slide. Is there anything that we can clarify in this first round of breakout rooms?
So just to, I would like to add one thing real quick. So Megan's going to push everybody into breakout rooms. So there'll be about 4 or 5 people in each room. And based on the room that you get put in, it's going to tell you if you're focusing on the collaborating or if your aspect is practicing or the coaching and facilitating. So the breakout room that she puts you in is going to determine which piece your group is going to dive deeper in. And then based on that, so if I get put into the collaboration group, then I'm going to go through that reading with my group. Then we're going to come together, we're going to talk about it, discuss those questions, and then we're going to create the slide together as a group. And there's a slide in the slideshow that one will say collaborating that you guys will work on. So you guys don't need to pick which aspect you're going to be doing. Megan's going to assign that for us. Okay, so questions. Does that help, Lori? Okay. All right. So one of the things that I would suggest is your group may want to do the reading first. So you might want to, just say hi to your group members real quick, and then maybe just turn your cameras off, go through and do the reading for your section, and then maybe turn your camera back on to signal to your group participants that you are ready to discuss and start working on that slide. Thank you, Juliana, for inserting the link to the reading. That's also linked into the session outline as well. And Cooper Davis, if you were one that was having problems getting into the Google Classroom, let me know. And okay, perfect. I feel like there was one more person that wasn't in our classroom yet. So, okay, are we ready to go to breakout rooms?
Okay,
Awesome.
Perfect. So if you were, for example, if I was in demonstrating, then I'm going to rename myself 1 dash my name.
And it doesn't matter which demonstrating group
Right.
you were in,
Right.
because there was 2 of them. So
Yes, and there's 2 collaborating, 2 coaching and facilitating. So it's okay if there's another number as the same as yours, but you'll rename with your number that matches the aspect and your name. And it looks like it won't let them rename.
Can't rename ourselves. It might be turned off.
it probably
Now-
is turned off.
Can you try now?
Yep.
Perfect. And then that will help us get you into the next breakout room, which is your pinwheel group. So in your pinwheel group, you will have at least one of you from each aspect of the pinwheel. So again, your spokes of the pinwheel will be filled in your pinwheel group. And what we'd like you to do is to go around your pinwheel, sharing you'll have access to share your screen, or you can share out your key details for your part of the framework. And so each of you will get a chance to share so that you will then have the overall picture of the instructional framework as it relates to distance learning, but also in-person setting. Generally, anything.
Yeah, for those of you that have not renamed yourself before, you just click on the 3 dots on your little picture tile on Zoom and on your Zoom screen, and it should give you a little drop-down menu with an option to rename yourself. Now, if you're on a different device, sometimes it's in a funky place. So I'm just looking through here to see. Michelle, were you gonna?
Well, I was just curious, are we supposed to put the question, like number 1, 2, 3, or 4, or are we supposed to put, because like Lori is number 2, but she wasn't in my group.
No, that's fine, because so were you in a collaborating group?
Yes.
Michelle? Yeah,
Yes.
so she was 2. There was 2 groups for
Okay.
each of those topics.
Okay, sorry, got confused.
That's okay.
All good. And then Megan is coordinating those breakout rooms for your pinwheel group. And then again, once you get into those, we open them up and you're in there. We want to make sure each person has a time to share. So we're going to set it at 10 minutes for you to share your part of the pinwheel. And again, you can capture notes on your outline for this part of our breakout rooms.
You guys, I apologize that this one was rushed.
Yeah, we didn't have enough time to finish our last slide.
Yeah, this session has just flown by.
But guess what? Guess what? We have 2 more sessions, 1 session on your own and 1 more session with us. So what's so great is that you don't need to leave today's session feeling overwhelmed. If you didn't feel that way before, but this made you feel overwhelmed, just let it go, because we just started to lay a foundation to get you excited about what more is in the module and to dig in. So we do want to recognize, though, yes, like Jenna Lee said, it went fast. Timing was maybe not perfect, but and we did not complete all the steps of the jigsaw, but what you did do was important, and you have some great slides. So we're going to be able to piggyback on that and start back when we're together for our 3rd session. But Jenna Lee, do you want to show the pinwheel?
I do.
At the beginning, we asked you to look at the blank pinwheel and to think about where in the pinwheel those terms would go. And so according to our experts, which have written our distance learning playbook, these are the parts of the pinwheel, and noticing what's most important is the center. And when you think about the pinwheel without a strong center, the pinwheel doesn't want to stay together, or it doesn't move very well. So purpose is an important piece. And again, we'll We'll connect all of those on our third session, but purpose being most importantly our standards, our learning intentions and success criteria, relevance, some of the things that we've built on from our previous module. So Jenna Lee, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, so at this point, we're going to kind of cruise through. We end all of our sessions with this reflection, and these are from the book, and this will help guide our the asynchronous work or the on-demand work that you guys do in session 2. So although we didn't get to kind of wrap up today's session in a nice tidy bow like we hoped, like Jen said, we'll pick up, you know, looking at your guys' slides and kind of tying this all together at the beginning of session 3. But we want to make sure that you guys are set up to do the session 2 on-demand work. So the way it's going to go is you have this reflection here and these little traffic lights, I call them traffic lights, and that you're going to reflect on, you know, evaluating your own level of implementation around demonstrating, collaborating, the coaching and facilitating and practicing. Where are you in your practice with respects to those things? And then which of those aspects do you want to focus on? So that's what your asynchronous work is going to be, or your on-demand work for session 2 is really honing in on one of those aspects that you're going to, you know, read more about, learn more about, and then go back and plan something to do in your class with your students. And kind of document what is that plan or that action step that you're going to take and try with your students. And then you're going to do a flip reflection and then come back to session 3, maybe hopefully having tried one of these 4 aspects and bringing back maybe an artifact or something with you that you could share. So at the bottom of your session outline, you'll see this, and then there's also a link there to our exit ticket for today, which again, that exit ticket, for those of you that have been with us, you know, we ask these same questions at the end of every session, and we use that, your guys' feedback that you give us to help inform our planning for the next session. So if you guys want to stay on and go ahead and do that exit ticket and reflection, that would be great. If you need to jet out, we understand. It is now 5:30 on the dot. So thank you so much for being here. We'll go ahead and stay on. And if anybody has questions or need help, you know, navigating things, please just let us know. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Happy New Year, everyone.